All right, my friends, welcome back to another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, December 8th, 2023. Thank you guys for tuning on in on this video as we explore some of the most relevant sales from eBay, all surrounding various coins, errors, varieties, maybe a type coin, a special date that have been found out there in the wild or at a coin shop or show. This is the place to sell it at here on eBay. And of course, we take a look at just nothing but raw coins, graded coins, we don't talk about on here. Because the idea is you find it, wherever that may be, turn around, take pictures of it, throw it up on eBay, and then return a nice healthy profit. At least that's the idea. But also, this also represents a good chance for you to put something really nice into your collection. So please do keep that in mind. What else is there to say other than we're closing in here on what I expect to be kind of a wind down of the market in general. Usually we see it about a week or so before Christmas, and then it doesn't pick up again until after the first of the year. So there's going to be a dead zone of about 10 to 14 days coming up here. So I would say while the market is very strong for these type of coins and you got them and you need some extra cash, now might be the time to do it. You could still do a 5 or 7 day auction and get your coins out so that way they reach their recipients by Christmas Day. So if you wait anything past around, I'd say 10th, 12th of the month, you're not going to fully realize what the market can give you for your coins. Something to keep in mind. But a few ground rules, we don't talk about graded coins. The second thing is that you're going to see the best and worst images that these sellers have to offer. All right, so they give you an idea where that bar is set. How strong does my picture taking ability have to be in order to sell on here? Well, I got good news for you. It doesn't have to be that strong at all. So you're going to get the best and worst images here. You'll even get a little photography lesson maybe somewhere down the line. But let's go ahead and check and see a few little updates here from Whatnot. So we are closing in on the final last couple streams of the year. All right, so we have the Stuff the Stockings $1 start coin auction. If you're looking for something for yourself or maybe as a gift, this might be the sale for you. Everything starts at $1 and we don't skip on any of the content. There's a lot of great coins, all right? A lot of raw, a lot of graded, you name it, we got it all. So if you're looking to pick up a steal of a deal, check us out on Tuesday, December 12th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm happy to say that we do have this sale locked and loaded on our Whatnot account, so you can bookmark it anytime you want. But most importantly, Friday, December 15th, the final show of the year, bar any other news, okay, is going to be the BlueRidgeSilverhound holiday giveaway event. It's open to everyone, folks. All you have to do is sign up to the platform, and to get into the giveaway is free. You don't have to do anything special. There's not any sweepstakes or any entry you have to do. Just come on to the live stream at that time, and you could have a fair shot at any one of the 35 to 40 lots that we will be giving away on that day. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. If you're not signed up, go ahead and sign up below in my referral link. It'll be in the description box, or it's going to be pinned into the comments area as well. You get $15 in usable credit. You could probably buy yourself a few coins with that $15, and it might even pay for the shipping. So that's the good news. Come check things out. You surely don't want to miss that. We do a giveaway every year, and it's always a blockbuster. So I can't wait to host that one there for you. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. We have 27 lots all coming within the last 24 hours. Very busy period right now of coin sales. And from low, medium to high price values, they're all pretty well represented. But let's go ahead and check out our first coin here, which is a 1982p Kennedy half dollar. This is a coin and a date that should be familiar to a lot of folks. Okay, it's very common, but there is one particular variety that we all have to be on the lookout for, because these things are as good as a 90% silver half dollar. And we know, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. We know why we're going through these Kennedy half dollar rolls from the bank. It's to hunt out silver. So if you're overlooking things like this, I'm sad to say you're not fully realizing the potential of what your box can give you. You know, and in those cases where some folks get skunked from finding silver in these boxes, this is going to be a welcome respite from all of that, right? Just finding something, all right? This is one of those here. So this is the missing FG initials reverse, which normally, as you guys know, would be sitting right here in this area to the right of the tail feathers and the leg right here. It would say Frank Gasparo's initials FG. This one does not have it, and the big reason why is it was simply over-polished at one point by a Mint employee. So make sure you're flipping over every single 1982P, every 72 Denver, I would say even 71 Denver. Flip these all over. These are all the specific dates that have quite a bit of value of these coins that are missing the FG initials. This one right here, I'm happy to say, did sell for $11.11, which puts it right in line of a 90% silver half dollar. So sell it. Go ahead and buy yourself your 90% silver, throw it into your stack, and then you're going to feel happy you did. The next one that we have here is such a beautiful coin, 1996 P Jefferson nickel. This is an uncentered broadstrike error. Now, this coin was struck out of collar. The collar is what normally keeps the coin in the striking chamber during the process of that strike. And if the collar is malfunctioned or it's something's wrong with it, it's not going to be seated properly for when it strikes the coins. Therefore, all the extra metal flow goes outwards, makes the coin appear a lot bigger than it actually is. This one, I'd venture to guess, is probably as big as a U.S. quarter. And this one sold for $45. All right, some of these heavy-hitting, larger broad strikes carry an additional premium to sellers of the type of coins. And another good one here, this one can be found in circulation and also in mint sets. So if you have some of those 1970 mint sets, make sure you double check for this really well-known variety. 1970S Lincoln Memorial set. This one is the RPM Repunched Mint Mark number 1. This is an S over S variety, and you can see that extra curl of the S north of the primary mint mark. All right, so before 1990, keep in mind that the mint marks were hand punched into the working dies, so it leaves some room for error. Maybe a mint employee stamped an S into the working die and they didn't quite like the way that it looked, or maybe it was out of tolerance, so they'll reseat the punch and then tap it in again, all right, leading to some pretty dramatic effects. So this one right here, $17.35 with 2 bids. This is always a great one to look out for, and when you do come across it, you'll know exactly what it is. Now, there's no specific variety or anything on this legal tender red seal $2 bill, but keep in mind it's a star note. But the star note on a note of this condition, which looks pretty rough, it even has a little bit of pencil handwriting on there, doesn't quite disqualify it from being worthless, right? Some of us would associate, tattered and torn and really worn paper money as being quite worthless. As a matter of fact, I've heard my fair share of folks saying, yeah, it's only worth face value. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is simply not the case. That if you have one of these and look at the back, it's a rough rider for sure. But still, there is beauty in the eye of the beholder. And since it is a replacement note, that's what the star is on the front, then, this one will have some additional desirability in any grade. This particular one sold for $43.82 with 6 bids. So that's kind of proof positive right there that these certainly have some desirability from folks that are looking for a much more affordable version of this note. All right, well, believe it or not, on our last PCMR, which this was only 2 days ago, yeah, kind of crazy, that we didn't showcase any 2023 Extra V Lincoln cents. It's the first one ever since I started covering this particular coin. And now we have one or maybe a couple that have sold since then that you guys need to know about. We're coming up toward the tail end of the year here. We are at the tail end of the year with just a few weeks remaining. And then, beyond that, once we're into January, it's going to be a few more weeks. And then we're going to see new 2024 coinage. I guess spearheaded by the quarter and the Lincoln set. So a lot of the outgoing coins and varieties and errors and things that were discovered in the previous year will begin to kind of wane, right? There's not going to be as many people that are going to be interested in those coins because, well, it's a new year. It's a hot new thing. They're always looking for the next big thing. And generally, folks will forget about these. So this one right here is in pretty nice shape. The major grading companies like PCGS and NGC are attributing these. And that's why they have kind of held a pretty firm price point all the way up till the end of the year. You can see that little V notch there next to Victor David Brenner's initials. You'll find this at the base of Lincoln's bust. And this particular one sold for $40, and it was scooped up as a buy it now listing. So someone came in, hit the buy it now button, added it to their cart, and then checked out. And now they're an owner of this coin. So they still have some value. $40 is better than nothing. That's 4,000 times face value if you want to look at it that way. Pretty cool one here. At first glance, you're like, oh, okay, it's a little bit off center. Okay, and that's what we kind of determine when we look at the front of the coin. You flip that thing to the other side, and what gives? It's like perfectly centered. Okay, so what do we got here on this 1970s Lincoln? Well, this is something that we refer to as misaligned dies. It's a type of error where one of the dies, more than likely whatever the hammer die is slightly loose. It has a little bit more play. So when it strikes the coins, okay, the die will jiggle left to right. And sometimes they're just not going to strike these coins up plumb, as you can see here. So you have a nice centered reverse, and then you have a front that is slightly offset a little bit, not by much, maybe 3% or so. Where misaligned die errors become quite valuable is if it cuts off some of the devices on the corresponding edge on the one side that shows the offset or the off-center part of it. So this one here sold for $15.38. This one is kind of on the minor side of misaligned dies, but still, we're not going to toss these back because, they appear minor to our eyes. You should always keep these and just realize that there is someone that's willing to pay $10-15 for these. There's actually a much stronger, more dramatic version of this type of error that did sell. You're going to see that here later on in the show. All right, guys. Well, here's a 2-coin lot. Play your cards right, and you could have owned this one for a paltry $41.38. The 1940 Lincoln that you see there is probably by itself worth about $50 to $60. And then the other coin is simply just a bonus ball. So you have two off-center struck coins. The 1940 is roughly about 10 to 15% off-center. And then, of course, you have the other Lincoln with a date that is undetermined because it's not showing there. That one's off-center by about 80% as well. So when we look at the reverse, pretty nice. I mean, I would be proud to own these. I would have picked this up just so I could resell it. There are going to be folks that need that 1940 Lincoln, so $41.38 is a steal of a deal on this one. Generally, I tell a lot of folks like yourselves that if you want to look for inventory online, like on eBay, go for the lots. Those are going to be the ones that you're going to want to target. These sellers know that they're willing to accept a much lower price by selling in bulk, and this is going to be your opportunity to swoop in, buy the lot, resell them individually, and then rinse and repeat. It could be easier. And speaking of which, we have that right here. We have a lot, count them, 20 1982p Candy half dollars. I'm willing to bet you guys know where I'm heading with this one because we had already seen one of these coins here in this show. But each and every single one of these is the no FG's initials reverse. How cool is that? And I'm willing to bet that this particular seller is probably an avid Kennedy roll hunter. All right. How do I know? Well, they got 20 of these. And usually not a lot of people have that deep quantity of this particular variety. And sure, yeah, it's a relatively common variety. But, you know, outside of that, these things have their own niche community. There's people that really love these particular coins. And here's 20 of them staring you right in the face. The coins look to be in really good shape. Quite a bit of, I would say, like about uncirculated low mid-state grades here. A few XFs in the mix, but all in all, this is a really solid, steady Eddie group right here. And there's no problematic coin that I could see. These are all very sellable. And here's, again, in case you missed the memo, no FGs on there. The seller knows what he or she is doing. And best of all, you're never going to believe how much this sold for. Someone got a rip on this one. It sold for $94.50. Even at its worst, you could 2x this lot. And that's not taking into account condition either. Because the much nicer mid-state condition coins will probably end up being a $15 to $25 coin by the time it's all said and done. So, you know, at the very worst, this is going to be a net 2x profit, and I'm tickled pink to see something like this. The next one that we have here is a coin that we've talked about, but this shows up on various dates, dates that we don't know. But we know we've seen them with and without mid-marks. The ones without mid-marks we can conclude were minted in the 70s. This one has a physical P mid-mark, okay, which, you know, tells us that this was probably struck sometime after 1980. You can see the CUD die break there over the date. That's why we can't read the date. You can see that corresponding weakness on the reverse. Real simple. Piece of the die had fallen off just through general wear and tear. So when it strikes up coins, all the metal flow goes into the empty cavity of that die and produces a raised anomaly on whatever coin it's striking. This particular one sold for $76.69 with 21 bids. These are always very strong selling errors. Here's also another CUD die break, this one over the word trust on this Jefferson nickel. It's a 1983P as well. Quite a common date for this particular error I've seen and have owned a few 1983P CUD die break coins. There's a few different types as well, and not just this particular one. And this one right here, as you guys know, CUDs are kings. They're some of the best-selling errors today. And they're not particularly rare, so if you know what you're looking for, good news, you're going to end up having a very equitable experience when you go to resell it. This one sold for $52.56, and that's with 11 bids. Again, there's a lot of organically bid up coins this week. Here's yet again another example of that. All right, cool. Very nice looking dollar bill here. Looks to be, what, miscut? All right. I mean, you know, you could probably make that argument that it could be miscut. But when we look at the reverse, you know, it's got nice healthy margins all the way around. So, you know, if the front is way too high and then the back of the note is perfectly centered, then that can only mean that this is a misaligned sheet print. All right. So the base front print was applied on a sheet that was slightly shifted upwards or downwards, whichever direction that is. But the overprint with the serial numbers, they're all perfectly centered to the note size, that paper size. So yeah, I mean, pretty cool. These are all quite desirable. People are throwing money at these things. Like this particular one sold for $50, you know, which is way better than a sharp eye or a sharp stick in the eye. Yeah, I butchered that one out. But yeah, I mean, if you come across something like this, you know, this one is considered minor by a lot of currency paper money experts. But still, you know, just know that they do have a considerable margin of premium to them, respective to their face value. Again, there's a reverse, also showing some general circulation wear as well. This is not the perfect condition note. 1977D Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is a nice off-center one. Probably 80% here on this, but what's really cool is that you do have a full readable date and mint mark, which to collectors of this, quite relevant. So this particular one sold for $27.25, and that's with 9 bids. Noting that there is a little bit of damage on the reverse on the empty blank planchet area of the coin. Which to a lot of people, it's really inconsequential for their collection. But, it does affect value a little bit, but not too bad. There's another piece of currency. I thought we were going to be without here, but this Saturday, we do have a few nice ones. How about this 1950B $20 bill? You see what's going on there? Yeah, some of the serial number is missing. The first 2 and the second 2 on there, both missing. So what happened here? I'm going to say that it was probably an obstructed print. Like there was something either on the printing plate or on the subject sheet. All right, so it's not gonna print all the details on there if there's a foreign item or something or another on the subject sheet, which is probably the case here. It wouldn't be light or missing or insufficient ink because the inkwell services the entire serial number for that particular string, so there would be considerable weakness all throughout there. So this one sold for $118.50, 29 bids. It's a very heavy auction because this is something that you just don't see, and a well-placed obstruction makes all the difference in the world. Again, there's a little bit of a reverse image there. Nice old classic design. I kind of miss these older design types. Here's a 1960s Roosevelt diamond. It looks to be a silver because it's got a Denver mint mark on the reverse. This one has 3 shallow sheet clips, as you can see. So 3 is obviously the amount of clips that you want for a dramatic effect. While the 3rd clip isn't too crazy, it is on there right behind Roosevelt's head, if you could see that. And this one sold for $14. So, this is a silver dime that's probably worth around $2, and this individual made 7 times that amount. Here's a 1981 Lincoln Memorial Cent. Again, more CUD action. Quite a few CUDs here this week. So you can see the CUD die break there over the words God, we, and trust. All right, pretty nice size. And that's a common placement for a lot of CUDs. It's just a weak spot on the dies in general. This one sold for $62.99, and that's with 7 total bids. Again, don't be afraid to sell these through regular auction formats. All right, we have a trio of nice earlier dated coins. How about this 38S? Great date, by the way, for a lot of varieties. This one just so happens to be the S/S RPM. It's the FS501 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And you can see that extra top curl of the S north of the primary mint mark. This is a great one. I found tons of these. And they are quite common. So again, if you have a magnifier, that's going to be your best tool to ensure success and looking for these varieties. This one sold for $7.68, and that's with 3 bids. Here's another good one here too. 1929 S/S Repunched mint mark. This is the FS501. And you can see that secondary S mint mark again north of the primary on here. The coin is in fair shape. It's like a VF plus. This one sold for $13.18, and that's with 3 bids. This one's quite minor, and actually the small little mint error on this one might be more detrimental to the actual value of the coin, because it's what we consider a very tough date. It's by no means a key. 1917D Buffalo nickel is really scarce in grades above XF condition. This one I would put right there at about XF, about AU 53-ish. There's a small little strike through or lamination to the left of the date there, if you could see that. And it's very small. And again, this is something that, might be a deal breaker to an actual purist coin collector compared to an error collector. I think this one has a lot more just static numismatic type value than it does error value. So, it really depends on the buyer. This one sold for $83 with 10 bids. So again, it's not a cheap coin, but I think that's more attributed to the actual date than it is the actual error. The pictures were kind of misleading me for a second. When I first saw this, I'm like, okay, the coin was clipped in two because it's a double struck coin. When you look at the obverse there, just how dark that kind of like smear is, it looks like the coin was split in two, and that's it. And now that I see the reverse, it's not the case. It is truly a double struck Jefferson nickel, 1983, another date that's just like rife with all sorts of mint errors. So the secondary strike is about 80% off center, and this is always going to be a popular type of error for generations to come. This one sold for $66.64, and that's with 18 total bids. All right, this might actually be our final piece of currency. I think it is. So we have this 1981A $20 bill. Check out the overprint here on this one. You're going to see it shifted to the north and east a little bit. So up and then over. Again, the sheet was shifted a little bit. It wasn't plumb to the print area where it keeps everything centered. This one, I like the fact that the seller grouped together the front and back image of the note all in one image. That's really good for like thumbnails and things like that. This one sold for $173.98. This note does have it's a faint centerfold. But it does look like a very nice crisp XF45. Might even be an AU50. It's that nice. All right, and this one's quite minor, but just know you got something here. 1949S Lincoln wheat cent. Check out the reverse there on that left wheat stock. And going into the word of and first day in America, this is a little bit of struck through debris. So a little bit of grease, a little bit of like metal shavings and dirt and dust and things like that, all clumped together on the die. So when it strikes up coins, there's going to be loss of some of the devices on there. This one sold for $11.08. Again, a coin that traditionally has a value of about a quarter. It turns out if it has this type of minor mint error, it's worth like a $10 bill. So there, I mean, that's a little bit of good news on this. Another off-center coin. It's a date that we've seen before, 1980 Philadelphia. This one's off-center by about 60%. Good-looking coin. Again, there's going to be a date set that requires this one. How about $20? That's what this one sold for. All right, and here we are. This is the Crazy Sauce Misaligned die that I had talked about earlier on when we looked at the Lincoln cent. This time on a Roosevelt dime. This is a 1999 Philadelphia Roosevelt dime. But you see how way off center the front of the coin is, but the back is perfectly centered. Yeah, this is about the most dramatic misaligned die that you'll come across. We don't see too many that are this far off or more. There seems to be kind of like a max or a ceiling to the shift there. But this one, my goodness, $89.97 with 5 bids was the final hammer price on this one. I think this one even sold like last night, so it's a fresh sale. Incredible. If you do come across something like this and your first belief is that it's off center, but the back is centered, good news. You're going to have a very, very valuable coin, as you see here. Nice little classical one here, 1866 shield nickel with rays on the reverse. Quite stunning. I mean, this is a great date, with the rays reverse. It's a specialty coin for a typeset that does need it. But check out all of the die breaks and cracks all on the obverse going through the wreath. bottom part of the shield, the arrows. Man, this thing is all knotted up. It's I don't know if it's considered a shattered die by definition, but it's pretty damn close. 1866. This one sold for $103.99. Believe it or not, die cracks, retain cuts, full-blown cuts on these earlier shield nickels and shield 2-cent pieces and things like that are quite common, all right? But on nicer ones like this, they do present a little extra value to the coin. Wow, we're going to end things off here on a couple really nice candy half dollars. This one is a uncentered broadstrike 1990p candy half dollar. It's, yeah, I mean, any broadstrike or off-center struck coin that is large in size, like a candy half dollar or an Ike dollar, man, these things are so wildly expensive. And this is not really that great of a looking example. It's pretty well circulated, too. This one sold for $90.25. You know, again, that's proof that these coins with this kind of shift is super bonkers. I can't see this one really too well, but it is a 1982 large date Lincoln Memorial set. The pictures were taken a little bit far away, so when you have to blow them up to crop them, they're quite out of focus. So my personal recommendation is let the camera do the work for you. All right, try not to do the work for the camera, because if you have a good iPhone or Android that has really good optics, they're going to be amazing taking these photos. But regardless, this one also sold for $90.25. It's such a big coin, and this is a cut that we don't see too often. And we're going to end things off here on, like I said, we had two major off-center Kennedys. Here's an off-center 1974p Kennedy half dollar. This thing is off-center by about 20%. This thing is magical. Really nice shape. It was probably found in a mint-sewn bag back in the day. And that's where you're going to find a lot of the major mint errors. They just all seem to travel really well in those things. And yeah, I mean, this thing sold for 275 bones. 275 bucks for a coin that's not even graded, which also illustrates my point, is that you don't have to grade these folks. Keep the money in your pocket and just reap the rewards of what the market is going to give you. The people, if they see the value in your errored variety or any other coin, they'll pay you for it as long as you correctly attribute that variety or diagnose that error. You're going to do okay. All right, well, that's going to be the PCMR for this Saturday. Again, the video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly. And thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. All of the extra support will go a long way into ensuring that I continue to crank out great quality videos like this one. So I hope to do this for years to come. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. I wish you guys the best if you're going to go out there and search for some of these beasts, because there's a lot of money to be made out there simply by going through your kids' piggy bank or going through some of those bankrolls. I guarantee you it's a lot of fun. Well, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Have a great rest of your weekend, and so long.